Everyone, let's call to order the City Commission meeting of the City of St. Pete Beach. Today is Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. It is 6 p.m. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk, if you'll please do a roll call.
Vice Mayor Lorenzen.
Here.
Commissioner Marriott. Here. Commissioner Phillips.
Here.
Mayor Petrella.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. First, we're going to start with a memoriam for a former commissioner and Vice Mayor Harry Metz. I only had the fortune and pleasure to know Harry for a very short amount of time. And in that amount of time, one thing that stuck out to me is what a friend and what an advocate he was for the city. And he would be pleased, I think, to see all of you here today to support that and just to remember what he did for the city. Jennifer?
I agree with that. Hi, Jennifer McMahon, Chief Operating Officer. I have known Harry for over 12 years as I've worked in the city side by side in many, many events and occasions. And he was a valued member of this community. We've gone through a lot of brainstormings. There's hope to be a memorial that will soon be coming back to you all to approve in one of our local parks. That started with Augie, and Harry took it over, and so kind of deep-rooted within this community. So I just want to share my experience with Harry has been a blessing, and I am excited to introduce who's going to be doing some more speaking is our own residents. Here, we have the pleasure of having some great military residents that's here, and one of those is Colonel Michael Tiger Greiger, who will kind of take it from here. But Harry has served not only our community, but our country, and I appreciated him very much. So, Colonel Tiger.
Thank you.
Commissioners, Mayor, thank you so much for allowing us to stand in front of you and make a request. We're requesting to memorialize First Sergeant Harry Metz. How do we want to do this? By naming the square down by Paso Grill, the Paso Grill area there by Paradise Grill after First Sergeant Harry Metz. But if you didn't know Harry Metz, I want to give you a little background. So I'm going to ask Brooks from the Veterans of South Pinellas County to come on up, and I'd like to ask State Representative Linda Cheney to also come up and join me. Brooks?
Mayor, Commissioners, I'm not used to this public speaking. I'm used to, like Harry, being the person that introduces someone else and goes to the background and listens to them as they do what they are and serve at their side as they need assistance. But I hope that each of you have been able to receive a copy of text, whether it was downloadable letter or not. I wrote this to express our desire. And it was addressed to the mayor, and each of the commissioners had a downloadable letter written. And it says, request the St. Pete Beach Commission to name the area at Paso Grill to First Sergeant Harry Metz Square. Why would we do that? Well, like others will tell you, if you knew Harry, you wouldn't ask that question. But if you don't, then you need to know a little bit about him. And I wrote that the Veterans of South Pinellas would request that the city rename that square to First Sergeant Harry Metz Square. It's going to recognize a lifelong service to this community of Harry. Harry was born out of the state, but moved here as a very small child into a house on Paso Grill Way, and the entire rest of his life was dedicated to this area. He served in the military. As he grew up, though, he was kind of a child that wanted to go out and seek how and what should he be doing. He grew up as a youth in Paso Grill, graduated from Boca Ciega High School in 1958, and he began working on fishing boats as a kid, so much so he loved to fish, he loved the water, he loved to excel, and by his 18th birthday, he had obtained captain's papers for navigating ships, and for doing that. He captained the Lucky Strike for Captain Hubbard, and Thunder Pasco Packing Company, he's captained boats for. He was employed as a crew member on the Coast Guard and Coastal Geodesic Survey ship out of here during the 1960s. And he was drafted into the U.S. Army and found his purpose in life, and that was to serve everybody else. And through 63, completely through and during the Vietnam War, he served for 23 years the U.S. Military, served well, did deployments in Korea, Vietnam, Germany, all of that. When he returned, though, he served the commission. He ran as a commissioner, served for years alongside, you'll hear Linda testify, working with him. And he served it honorably that time. Then he was vice mayor for a short period of time. I first met him about 2013. I had formed and worked in the early foundation of incorporating the Veterans of South Pinellas County as a 501c3 charity, and was working with Augie in Southern Paso Grill by the building there. It's a Shuffleboard Park. And Harry and Augie and I had this mission to create something down there that would honor everybody. And before I knew it, Augie had me come over, and he wanted to show me something about barbecue, something about flags that we were going to put around the building. And this mysterious guy come walking in, walking a little dog on a leash, and he was kind of standing by. And Augie kept talking to me and explaining this and that and the other, and then finally he brought Harry Metz over to meet me. And wow, I found out then from that day on, he was exactly the man I needed to take my place as president, so I could step back and have a real leader that served this community, that had connections, that knew the people here, that loved Paso Grill, St. Pete Beach, and his country. So that's the Harry that I knew, and I've served with him every day since then, and I miss him for all of the leadership that he provided us. So thank you.
Good evening, Linda Cheney, State Representative for District 61, which includes St. Pete Beach. I've been a resident here 30 years. Harry and I served, over 30 years. Harry and I served on the commission together from 2007 to 2009. And prior to that, we just were friends and part of the community. And I haven't met anybody that loves this community more than Harry. And his roots are here, his heart is here. I know he's still here with us. And in Harry's final days, when I was talking to him, he was always concerned that other people were taken care of, that his wife Moon was taken care of, that our community was taken care of. He had Moon digging through closets, producing boxes of documents and memorial things, and making sure that they got to the right people so that they did not die with him, so that this information stayed around. And one of the things Harry was so concerned about was the Medal of Honor statute that he started working on, the memorial. We have our very own Medal of Honor awardee here in St. Pete Beach, Gary Luttrell, which the bridge is named after. And Harry has been working on this Medal of Honor statue memorial since Augie was alive, and the two of them have been working on it that long. And I'm so grateful that, where did she go? There she is. The city has continued to support that work, and we look forward to that medal. There are just a handful of Medal of Honor winners even alive in the United States, and the fact that we have one here in the community is pretty amazing. And that was one of Harry's real concerns, that was honored, and that's who Harry was. Harry was somebody who was just concerned about everybody else and taking care of everybody else right up to his final hours. And I think it's fitting that we would honor him in Pass a Grill, which is, it's Harry. Pass a Grill is Harry. And I hope that you choose to do that. We have in the past, as commissions, named parks and different areas after elected officials who are no longer with us. So I think it's very fitting, I think it's appropriate, and I would ask that you support this request. Thank you.
I was honored to know Harry because I got to work with Harry to dedicate the Pinellas Bayway Bridge to Command Sergeant Major Gary Luttrell. And working with Harry was a sheer pleasure because he knew everybody. He made all the associations work. For instance, we had disabled veterans that wanted to participate in the bridge dedication, and they couldn't actually get down to the landing of the bridge. Well, they could still participate by crossing over the bridge and joining with the rest of the citizens to receive their medal at the park afterwards. And Gary walked over the bridge, and Harry set it up so that all the volunteer firemen that had the vintage fire trucks were helping the veterans and the young children get on those and then board them up and go over. Harry set up so many different details that made that a special day for our city. Let me tell you what a first sergeant is. A first sergeant is a high position. That's the first sergeant that a commander will go to because that first sergeant takes care of the people. That first sergeant takes care of the families. Harry was not chosen as a first sergeant out of a whim. Somebody recognized this early in his career, and that's why he became a first sergeant, because a commander decided he needed to go to first sergeant school. It's a special school. To be acknowledged as the top kick, the top shirt, the first shirt, all the other names that go along with it is quite an honor. You're serving as the senior non-commissioned officer, and you're known as the one to go to if your family has a problem, if you have a problem back home, or if the commander needs to discipline somebody, the first shirt gets involved too. First shirt for Harry, first sergeant, was not a misnomer at all. He served his community and he served people proudly. And it was an honor to work with him to the salute for the veterans and the military, or the salute to the military and first responders, because he had all of the young enlistees come on up. And one time he said, "Would you swear them in?" What an honor. I get a chance to swear in the newest members of our military. It was quite an honor. I said, "Harry, what do you want me to do?" And this is Harry's sense of humor. He says, put on your dress blue uniform with all your pretty medals and your big command wings, stand up there, say something inspirational, swear them in, and then get off the stage. I could do that. So Harry had a sense of humor. He was committed to this. And what I hope that you'll understand is that a quality citizen, a servant leader, served all of us here for decades of his life. He served his nation for a couple of decades as well. And I think a quality city would recognize that individual, and it would stand as a testament to this city and its dedication. Thanks for the honor and privilege of coming before you.
So that was the close, so I shouldn't be speaking, but he reminded me of a great story. I got requests from residents to beautify the Bayway Bridge medians. And one of the senators said, well, we'll just add another 10 cents to the toll. and then we'll allow for an increase every year to make sure we have the money to do the median. And I said, not on my watch. We pay our taxes. We're not taxing the people again for beautification. FDOT, you need to figure this out. And Harry, in talking to him, reminded me that the residents of St. Pete Beach had been assessed for the building of that bridge over 30 years ago. And, you know, that's Harry. He's like the vault, the memory vault. And he said, we were assessed. So when I told FDOT that, they said, oh, you now qualify for a higher level of service, and we, FDOT, will go ahead and pay for that, and the residents do not have to pay an extra fee for that. So again, you know, Harry, just always thinking about what can he do for the residents, what can he do for St. Pete Beach, and let's pay it forward to him.
Thank you, everyone. You know, Harry was always selflessly giving to others, and he would never ask this for himself. So I think it should fall on us to ask on his behalf. So I appreciate your request. And if I may ask, City Attorney, what is the process if we wanted to name a park or a plaza? What are the next steps?
That's a good question. I will have to get back to you, let you know. It depends on the property and whether or not, you know, who owns it, if it's city property, things like that. But I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay. So in this case, I think we're dealing with city property at the concession stand by the by 9th Avenue. Yeah. What do you all think? I mean, I think this is certainly something that should move forward.
Absolutely.
Okay. If you would please look into that, then
Sure.
we can present that on the upcoming commission meetings.
Okay. And I'll just make sure that I understand exactly what property you're talking about. The whole Paradise Grill?
The plaza.
Okay. Got it. All right. No problem.
Great. Thank you so much. Next, we have the 2023 financial audit report, please.
The auditors were unable to get the final documents published in time for tonight's meeting. They always like to have a published final document and hand that out when they do their presentation. So, and also the partner that has been involved with the city for many years was unable to be here, so we're requesting that be moved to the next meeting.
Sounds good. Do we have any amendments to the agenda as proposed?
I'd like to add a item for discussion
Okay.
regarding a board member's attendance. Just want to talk to everyone about it. Should be brief.
I'd like to pull item 4E from the consent agenda into action items, if I could.
Okay. I'll make that 5B. I would also like to pull 4B into action items. We'll make that 5C. And I would also like to add 2 discussion items, please. One on the freebie, and then one on the discretionary allocation for the sheriff. Okay. Any other changes? Excellent. Can I please have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
City Clerk, if you'll please do a roll call.
Commissioner Marriott?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lorenzen?
Yes.
Mayor Petrella?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any audience comments, please?
Yes, Lisa Robinson?
If you'll please state your name and address for the record.
Lisa Robinson, 7100 Bogasega Drive. While speaking with some of the small businesses in my neighborhood, District 2, I became aware of an issue, and I promised them that I would give them my voice and do my best to try to get them an answer to the status of the site improvement grant that was offered to them by the city. It's a great program that really helps the small businesses, which they are instrumental in defining our character of our community. We don't have a lot of chains and franchises. We have some really cool small businesses that give our city its local flavor and color. I fully support the program and hope it does continue. What is of concern is that at least 2 businesses, and there could be more, applied for the grant, were given approval, and in good faith of that, they spent monies that they may not have necessarily spent now or ever to do those improvements. Small businesses have small budgets, and they depended upon what the city offered. They've been trying for months with numerous inquiries to find out the status of the grant program's 50% reimbursement for their improvements, and they have not been given an adequate answer. Let's help them and not hose them. Can you please give an answer to the status of the grant program and how the businesses can proceed to get reimbursed? Thank you.
Thank you. If I may, we discussed this a few commission meetings ago, and I think where we left it off last with the grant was, I don't know if Jennifer was looking into it or if somebody else was looking into it as to, how we can go back to distributing those funds. I think the consensus from the commission was that it was a great program. Obviously we want to support our small businesses in town, and maybe we can add an update, or if you have an update on that.
I don't have an update, but we can get that information and provide that back to you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Max A.
If you please state your name and address for the record.
Max Assenheimer, 300 Paschal Way. And I'm here because I spoke with Mike Clark today. I made a phone call to Public Works to ask him the state of the seawall down in Paso Grill that's being repaired. And everything that I had been to prior to the new commission coming in was that it was going to be raised, and we were going to see a little bit of more protection down there, and especially down at Dog Beach. And so I put a call in because everything I see going back is going back at the same height. So Mike Clark gave me some great information. He said, you should come tonight. And things happen for a reason, because I didn't know Harry was going to be memorialized either. And just so you know, Harry was here. He was here when my great aunt was out here, and she was here since the 60s. And I've been here since the 80s, and I've known Harry since then, and he couldn't be a nicer man. And he did a lot for the city. But side my point, the seawall needs to come higher. And Mike said, hey, it can only go to what the cap is, what the zone is approved for. And he said it's 5 feet, and we just ratified that recently. He said, so we can't go over 5 feet. Well, if anybody believes seawater is rising, I've watched the seawater come up, and it's coming up higher than it ever has. 2 times last year, in August with the Dahlia, and in December with the no-name storm, we had water coming on South Paso Grill, all the way at the end, but 85% of that water comes over Dog Beach because of the sand right up to the seawall. I said, if you guys are stuck now with this cap being at 5 feet and you're not going to raise it, I said, the least you can do is get down there before a storm with a bobcat or a skid steer and remove or lower some of that sand on Dog Beach, not to get rid of it. That used to be, before the Army Corps engineer came in, that used to be a sandbar. It would come and go with the storms. Now the Army Corps engineer came in about 15, 20 years ago. They put boulders, they put pilings in, and that was to chase a drainage problem. Well, that drainage problem wound up being a pumping station at the beginning of 3rd Avenue, for $1 million, to chase that problem further. Well, since we still have that problem, Dog Beach is letting in most of the water that comes in to Paso Grill. If you want to do anything at all prior to the hurricane season, get rid of some of that sand, you don't have to do it now, but prior to a storm, send a skid steer down there, send a bobcat, and get rid of a couple of barrels or truckloads and ship it over to First and dump it on the beach. You can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, or at least help. But I don't understand why you guys aren't going higher with a with the seawall, when you have the opportunity, you're going to throw good money after bad, especially if you're going to do this at a later date. And the other thing I was told was it was all going to happen at one time, and now the second phase is not going to begin until 2026, 2027 budget year construction. So I think you guys should look into this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Deb Scheckner.
Hello, good evening. Deborah Scheckner, Bocasiega Isle Drive in St. Pete Beach. A great man walked among us, and that was Harry Metz. He did so much for this city that nobody even really knew about, unless he asked you to help with something, because you never turned him down. He helped build houses and got people involved in construction. Give away, not at any cost, to help build a house, retrofit a house for a veteran who was unfortunately very badly hurt. Everybody who was asked by Harry always said yes. He did live here most of his life, and if you were lucky, you got to hear his stories. And his stories about St. Pete Beach made me feel like I wish I visited here then. It had to be a very exciting and wonderful time. Harry served his country. He had a great smile. And I really do hope that it works out, that this particular piece of property that belongs to the city is named after Harry. It's very fitting. He was an honorable man, he was an honest man, and he served not only our city in any way possible, but also our country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Grill.
Good evening. Good evening, Mark Grill, Second Palm Point. Nice to see everybody again. I just also want to add my thanks to the Metz family on behalf of Harry and all the contributions that Harry made to the city. A couple items tonight I'd like to talk about. First is street lights. So when Duke installs the new LED bulbs to replace the old sodium street lights in residential areas, residents get a spotlight shining into their home. I went through this. The current process requires a resident to complain after the fact. First, you get a bright light in your home, you figure out what happened, then you complain to Public Works, who contacts Duke to install a physical shield over the light to limit the light spread. This can take over 2 months, and that's what happened to me. I want to thank Nicole Current from Public Works for help getting my situation resolved, but we really need to look at changing the process. Why wait for residents to get annoyed and upset? Change the process. If we're going to put these LEDs in, put in the shield at the same time. I suggested this several times, and each time it was dismissed. We need to do better for our residents. Second, my suggestion that I previously sent to the city is to publicize the upcoming August municipal elections. We know at this time of year many voters are away for the season. They plan to vote by mail. I'm sure many don't know the deadline for requesting a mail-in ballot, or that the post office won't forward a mail-in ballot. You have to ask them specifically to send it to you out of town. City clerk has mentioned this at commission meetings, but we have many other methods available in the city. We've had more communication sent out on the 4th of July events in Haran Park than we have for the election. Let's get the message out there. It'd be a shame to have any election decided by 200 voters. On the budget, I wasn't able to attend today's budget meeting, but in the last meeting there was possible mention to raise the sewer fees. Keep in mind that this is the same as raising millage rates. We pride ourselves as a city to say we have a low rate compared to other beach communities in Pinellas, but it's not always apples to apples comparison. The sewer fee in other municipalities could indeed be in their rates. We don't know. There's a long history on this. Please reach out to your historians on the Finance and Budget Committee. They've got background. It's just not as easy to say raise the sewer rates. This is a long history. My last comment relates to comments made at the last budget meeting. I don't understand why, and related to Gulf Boulevard, I don't understand why the issue was not brought up to the commission earlier, but if there's a problem, it needs to be addressed. Remember, if a municipal official, employee, member of the public knows of ethical violations, They should call the State Commission on Ethics, not stand up in a public meeting and make these crazy accusations, and then it spins into on social media. They have a website. It's not anonymous, and you have to document the evidence of wrongdoing and put your name on it. Facts matter. Let's not run the city on hyperbole. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Can I please have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second?
City Clerk, if you'll please do a roll call.
Commissioner Phillips,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lorenzen,
Yes.
Commissioner Marriott,
Yes.
Mayor Petrella,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Next, we have action items 5A, compensation study recommendations.
Thank you, Mayor. Y'all recall a few weeks ago, our consultant presented the compensation study to the city. This was commissioned by the previous commission about a year ago, a little over a year ago. Our consultant reviewed that study with the commission in detail. We've talked about it a couple of times in workshop sessions, so we're here tonight requesting the commission's approval to implement the compensation study at the 60% percentile level, which means about 40% of the cities or counties that we were compared to will be paying a little more, and 60% will be paying a little less. I think it's important that our city be above the middle in order to give us what we need to recruit and retain people. So we are requesting approval of the 60th percentile for the for the study that was presented by PayPoint HR, with a minimum increase of employees at 2%, a maximum of an annualized amount of $10,000, and then a cost of living adjustment of 3.7%. The only change, we did say implementation October 1, which is the beginning of our a budget year, but we would like to, if the commission sees fit to approve that, we would like for the motion to state September 30th, because that's the first day of our pay period, and it would be a whole lot of work for our accounting and HR staff to have to make a one-day adjustment and then make the adjustment again. So if you decide to approve this, we would just request that would be September 30th rather than October 1 as it states it in the motion.
Comments, questions?
So that doesn't affect FY24 funding for pay at all, since we're doing...
Would not affect fiscal year. You know, the first pay period will be in the new budget year.
I think if I could just make one comment. I've heard a couple of comments from people saying things like, you know, why are we at the 60% level? Does that mean we're only supposed to work 60% hard and, and things like that? And so I just wanted to kind of make sure that everybody understands that the 60% level means that at the one point in time when the pay study was done, that we're setting our pay scale to be at the 60% level.
Hi, my name is Ken Cuspab. I live at 195 45th Avenue, St. Pete Beach. I also work for St. Pete Beach. I was here a couple weeks ago. I came here from Ohio over 5 years ago after spending 30 years plus working in public utilities for the city of Columbus. So I have a lot of experience in the background of what this is about. I've been now with City of St. Pete Beach for 2.5 years. I thought I was retired.